First Byron Youth. Hopefully you're having a good evening. Hopefully you've had a great week and weekend for you Christian school kids. I know that you've had quite a break, which is great, but we're glad you're here today. I'm hanging with the junior class, but hopefully you've had the opportunity with your class to get to know them a little better, eat some food together, ask some questions of each other, and hopefully you've read 1 John 1, 5 through 10. But I want you to do something with me this evening. What I want you to do is this. Imagine that it's 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. You've been sleeping for a number of hours now. And as you sleep, all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, man, I got to go to the bathroom. And I got to go now. But instead of deciding to flip the light on, you decide, nah, I'm going to try to get all the way to the bathroom in the dark. And so you're walking around, running into things, kind of putting your arms out, right? And you're putting your arms out and your feet, and you're kind of slowly, gingerly walking around the room until you get to the restroom. And you think you're going in the right direction. It takes you a while, but you finally get there. Hey, and when you get there, you might have some bruised limbs, or you might have nailed your side or something like that. But you made it. Now, think of this instead. What if you would have just simply turned the light on? It may be painful at first, but what seemed like an arduous journey in the dark soon becomes a quick trip to where you get to the bathroom, use the bathroom, get back to bed, and you're back asleep again with no bruises to show for it. This metaphor of walking in darkness and walking in light is simple, but it's powerful. In John 8:12, Jesus says, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. That sounds pretty great, doesn't it? If we follow Jesus closely, he will light our way, and we won't have to worry about going the wrong way or running into barriers on the road to a fulfilling life. But there's something you should know. Just like flipping on your bedroom lights in the middle of the night, walking in the light of Jesus can stink a bit at first. True, our path is illuminated, but so are our deepest, darkest sins. You ever have that where you wake up and you turn that light on and you're like, oh, my eyes are burning, right? And it's the same is true when we walk in the light of Jesus. We all of a sudden let our sins go, and it's going to hurt because all of a sudden these sins are being known. But I'm telling you, to follow Jesus, we have to be honest with ourselves and with God about the ways in which we've hurt him and other people. So is following Jesus worth this painful revelation? John gives us an answer in what we've just read. So why don't you read that passage again and just think about what it has to say about that. And read it again, and then I'm just going to say a few more things before you can go into your discussion groups, and you can pause the video now. Okay. Remember this, to step out of darkness into the light, we need to know that Jesus helps us do this in two ways. First, since he's the eternal Son, God himself, he's the light that guides us, exposes the things holding us back, and reveals our true selves. And second, because he became human and lived a life in complete obedience to his Father, he's our example of what it looks like to walk in the light. Now, this is up to your leaders, but you can take a few moments to discuss, which I'll pause here, or you can go on to the next part and do all the questions together. If you're pausing here, pause right now.
There's a crisis in youth sports today, with millions of athletes every year sustaining concussions. These brain injuries happen in all sports, but football players face the highest risk. If a concussion is mild and it is treated with rest, the brain usually heals. But many young athletes, for a variety of reasons, don't stop playing, even when they are seriously injured. They are taking a grave risk with potentially devastating, even fatal consequences. 19-year-old Chris Coyne knows this better than anyone.
I started playing football in 5th grade. After the first week, I hated it and I wanted to quit. I couldn't get the pads on right and it seemed very unnatural to run around with 20 pounds of gear on me. When I was in 8th grade, I made a really awesome catch. I guess that moment just kind of, culminated everything that all the work I had put into it. That really, I guess, just motivated me to keep looking for that, moment of success that comes with football that I love so much.
By high school, Chris was a star player, a leader on the Staples High School team in Westport, Connecticut. Strong, fast, and deeply committed to his team, Chris achieved what many players can only dream of: an invitation to play for one of the world's most prestigious colleges, Yale University. But there was a dark side to Chris's success: repeated concussions. The first happened during track, the second in the football locker room, 2 more on the football field. Like most athletes, Chris didn't understand how dangerous these injuries were and that he needed to give his brain time to heal. He continued to play football, even while his brain was injured. A recent study showed that 56% of football players hide symptoms of their concussions. The reason, Chris says, they don't want to miss even one game.
To put in all that time and then get to a game and not be able to play, it wasn't an option for me personally. When I did get injured, it never even crossed my mind not to play.
Playing with a concussion can in rare cases be fatal if a player gets a second hit, even a mild one, while the brain is still healing. Second impact injuries have killed 50 high school football players over the past decade. But far more common is post-concussion syndrome, which happens when players get repeated concussions and experience ongoing problems with their memories, their moods, and their ability to focus. Experts estimate that there are millions and millions of young people suffering from this debilitating condition. Chris Coyne is one of them.
Following my most recent one, I had issues where I would literally get off the couch to get a Gatorade and wouldn't know why I'm standing up. I tried and take notes in class and I couldn't take the information long enough to put my pen to paper and take it down. I'd leave to go somewhere and wouldn't know where I was heading. And I had so many points where I was saying, what am I doing? Why am I here? That I realized there was more of an issue than I'd ever had before.
Like many players, Chris hid these symptoms from his parents and coaches and continued to play football. But during a routine play in the first week of practice for Yale, Chris experienced his 6th concussion, which would end his football career forever.
With that 6th concussion in training camp, even though it initially actually felt more mild than any of my other ones, the symptoms that appeared later, including memory lapses and concentration issues, were more severe than I'd ever experienced. I knew I needed help and I knew I had to report it right away. Football taught me a lot of great values that I carry with me in my life today. Work ethic, respect, responsibility, all things that came from football, but have allowed me to be successful in other aspects of my life. And these are things that, nothing but football could have taught me. Playing sports is great for anybody of any age. Football in particular opens so many doors for me. And I just wish that I knew then what I know now about concussions and injuries. And if I did, I'd, still be playing.
Part of Chris's new mission is sharing his story on the dangers of playing through concussions with young athletes.
Do you guys all know what a concussion is? I like that response. Okay. Medically speaking, all concussions are, very serious. So even if it feels mild, you should still take care of it right away. Regardless of what happened with concussions, I feel lucky that I'm still at school and able to get a good education. And going forward, I just gotta put the past behind me and make the best with what I can.
Okay, now, if you didn't do the questions before this story, do those questions plus the next discussion questions. All right? Hopefully, you've learned a little bit about what it means to live in the light. We are so quick to hide in the darkness, but we find that when we're living in the light, when we expose the darkness, all of a sudden, the goodness of Jesus comes out, and all of a sudden we understand more of who God has created us to be. So go do those discussion questions and then stop me here. And listen to that truck go by. Okay. Listen to this. Sometimes the reasons we hide our problems are well-intentioned. Maybe we don't want others to be disappointed in us, or maybe we lie to keep from hurting someone we care about. But as John says in this lesson's Bible passage, we can only have fellowship, healthy relationships with one another if we're honest about our baggage. I once remember doing a skit. I'm sorry, it's getting loud around here. But I once did a skit when I worked at a camp where a person was walking along and they would be tempted by all these things, and they kept giving in to these different temptations, right? And they're living in this darkness, right? They're doing drugs, they're drinking underage, they're doing all that stuff. And I don't want to focus on that stuff, but what I want to focus on is this. Sometimes we get bogged down with all that stuff, right? This person in the skit did all this stuff and would put backpacks on to resemble all those different things, right? And they would just be bogged down and getting heavier and heavier, and they think that they're living their best life, right? They're having fun, they're doing all this stuff. But in reality, they know that darkness is hiding them from the truth of Jesus Christ. And because of that, they are not experiencing real freedom. It might be easy to be sitting here today watching me and going, yeah, Josh, but you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know the decisions I've made. You don't know the struggles that I have with this. I might know some of those struggles. But if I don't, you know who does? Jesus. God knows your struggles. And he's saying, bring them to the light. Bring them out so that I can see them. Because here's the thing, you guys. Jesus doesn't want to sit here. And just like we read from John 3:17 last week, it can be so easy to live in darkness. And Jesus could so easily condemn us. But instead, he loves us. And he loves you even though you struggle with sin. But this is what you need to do. This is the important part. We need to repent. We need to turn from those things and run to him. There's not a person in the room that you're watching this video with right now that is sitting here with a perfect record, okay? So if you're sitting here going, yeah, I'm way worse than this person, or maybe you're on the opposite end and you're going, oh, I'm way better than this person. Don't get caught up on that. Don't get caught up in that. Because we are all sinners. We are all in desperate need of Jesus. And the best way that we can help each other is to bring those things to the light so that we can help each other out, so that we can be living in the light for Jesus and experience real freedom. Thanks for watching today. Hopefully you guys have a great time with Two Truths and a Lie, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.